Welcome, everyone, to After Lunch Special. This is your time to kick back and settle in with great people doing great things from the Science of Mind magazine. I'm your host today, Reverend Karin Wilson. Well, my friends, it's that time of year. Around the globe, children are getting ready for the big day. COVID or no COVID, nothing gets in the way of Christmas, and nothing gets in the way of my very special guest today, Santa himself. I'm still amazed that he's been able to slip away from his shop way up at the North Pole in Canada. Santa, it's so good for you to have joined us. How are things going in your workshop?
Oh, Merry Christmas! Glad to be with you, Reverend Karin. I hope you're having a great day. Hello, everyone.
How are things going in the workshop?
Oh, we're busy here. Santa just took some time in his quiet space of his own personal office to be able to chat with you. You may even listen carefully, and you might even hear the elves banging and knocking and making all kinds of toys in the background. Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Now, I see you're wearing a mask. Is everybody in the North Pole masked up?
No, Reverend Karin, we don't need to do that in the North Pole because it's all inclusive community. And the only ones that ever really leave are myself and Mrs. Claus to make public appearances to visit with the children. So when we do, it's very important that we wear a mask to protect others and to protect ourselves because we see such a large volume of children. We like to wear one. But here in the office and that, I get to take it off. Ah,
Aww.
oh
Oh.
boy. Oh. There you go. And let's just get my glasses on. That's it. So we get to take it off here because there is no danger. But I just wanted everybody to know that Santa doesn't visit anywhere without social distancing and wearing a mask. And you know, it really hurts this year not to have the children come up and sit on my lap or give me a hug. But you know, we do distance hugging, and that's the most important thing because the love and the energy and the wisdom is still there. Oh.
So what have they been saying to you this year? Is there anything different that you've been hearing from the kids than previous years?
Well, mostly the children are always the same. But there are some that are really afraid because of the COVID thing. And the children say to me, Santa, all I want for Christmas is COVID to be gone. And
Mm.
Santa says, you know, dear, that's all Santa wants too is COVID to be gone. However, the magic that Santa has doesn't deal with disease in the physical form. Santa only deals with hope and dreams and aspirations and
Mm.
desire and wisdom and peace and joy. And I'm the master at creating that and toys and good things. So I have to tell the children that keep praying for it and it'll happen. However, what can Santa get you for Christmas?
Oh, that's so nice. Now, there's always this sort of dichotomy, it seems, that shows up at Christmas time, especially with Santa, the whole concept of naughty and nice. And there's this new trend as well about an elf on the shelf. Have you run across that? And what do you think about that?
Oh, there's a lot of that. And what I always get children who say, well, I've been a little naughty, Santa. I always praise them for honesty. And I
Hmm.
always let them know that everybody's a little naughty and needs to get on the nice list. I have my favorite elf working with me this year called Pepper. And her job is working with Mrs. Claus to keep Santa from eating too many cookies. Oh, an elf on the shelf. Now, I want to be real clear. The phenomena is that they put Elf in the shelf out and he's going to tell Santa whether you're naughty or not and to
Oh.
keep in line. Now, that's not what Santa tells the children. And I call the parents over and I said, there's a better way to do this. And I say to the children, you know when you're naughty. And they all go, yeah. And I said, do you like being naughty? And they say, no. And I said, well, wait, instead of waiting for your parents to talk to you, just go find Elf on the Shelf and say, I love you, Elf.
Hmm.
I love you, Santa. And Santa will feel that. And as you watch, you could feel the love and energy coming back into you. And that takes you right out of naughty. So this is a really good way to work the Elf on the Shelf, don't you think? Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Now I want one. Now I want one in my house.
Yeah.
So now you mentioned parents, and I'm a parent, and sometimes my daughter, she says to me, I don't know if I can believe in Santa anymore. I don't see any peace at all. I don't see any happiness. The world seems like, it's not in a good place. What would you say to her?
Well, dear, the most important thing is always to go with the magic of believing, because Santa will always be in your mind and your heart. And no matter what anybody says or does, that magic of believing will bring you through here to help you out. And what was the second part of that? I kind of slipped here.
Well, just sort of that whole feeling of not believing in
Oh,
Santa.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to cultivate that within yourself. And as you do that, then you get back to the most important thing in life, and that's the believing in possibilities.
Hmm.
The possibilities for joy and love and peace and happiness in our lives are all over the place. And you may look around you and look at the world and say, well, it's not very peaceful. And if you want to find more of that, you will, because that's what you're looking for. But if you want to find peace in the world, then what we each must do is find it within ourselves and then share that with people around us and focus more on that, and you'll see peace grow in the world around you. And so it grows within and it goes without.
Hmm. So, where do you get all your wisdom from? I mean, is there like a Santa Pro D day or something that you end up going to?
Well, one of the things that Santa does, just like everybody else, I mean, what am I going to do all summer? So Santa likes to read the books of the wisdom of the ages from antiquity and see how much I can find there that really revolves around the idea of what Santa's all about. And so one of the things that I have right here is this book. It's called All About Being Santa. And the author of that is a very interesting man. And Santa's read a lot of that. But one of my favorite books of all that I read is The Science of Mind by Dr. Ernest Holmes. And it really helps Santa stay focused on what's really important about this time of year. And one of the most important things that comes down from the wisdom of the ages is learning how to ask. One of the great things that all the teachers say is before you receive, you have to ask. And you'd be surprised. A lot of children know what they want, but they have a really hard time asking Santa, who's the one that can deliver that for them, because people have a hard time sharing what they want with other people. I think that the adults, the parents and grandparents are listening, will be able to relate to that, because this is just not an issue with children. And then the other key thing that the whole experience teaches is about the joy that comes and the peace and the serenity that comes from giving and receiving. Because we all teach that it's great to receive and also to give. And that's the natural flow that all the great teachers throughout the ages have taught. And that's what Santa's become. And that's what Santa's all about.
Hmm. That's lovely. Yeah, that whole learning how to ask thing is a tricky one. It seems to be like a lifelong experience to try and get that right. So now you have kind of a sidekick, right? Mrs. Claus, she always seems to be in the picture as well. How do you two work on things together?
Well, I think the most important thing is the reason why Santa is so popular and so successful and so many people want to see him is because behind Santa, he has the greatest team in the world. we need to have team, and we need to have to work together. And Mrs. Claus takes care of making sure Santa stays on track. Ho, 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 ho. And someone has to help Santa with his wardrobe, with his meals. And Santa has to have someone to talk about when he talks about some of the children. And then and there, Mrs. Claus at times comes with me. And while Santa's talking to a child or a family, she's talking to a lot of the children that are waiting to get to see Santa. And that helps them stay calm, peaceful, centered, and poised in the lineup so that they don't get overly excited. Because we all know how frustrating those lineups could be, especially when you're waiting to see Santa.
And kind of scary too. I remember being scared in the lineup, like the pressure of what to ask. It was so intense.
Yeah. And you know, the one thing that's so great about that is children feel a lot more comfortable at first with Mrs. Claus than they do with Santa, because Santa's so big and he's so well known. So she can ease them in. And you know, it's happened to me a couple of times. Ho, ho, ho. I get Mrs. Claus comes up and says, Santa, there's these two girls that just don't do Christmas. They can't do Christmas because they're petrified of Santa, but they like me and they'd like to get a picture on Santa's chair with just Mrs. Claus and them. So I stepped down and, oh, it's just a great thing. You never seen a parent's eyes light up like that before, or the children. And this is just not something that happens. It happens quite often, actually. So you got to have your ego in the right place and realize that this is not about me. This is not about her. This is about intention. Always remember, whatever you do, it doesn't matter what you say or how you behave. It's always intention. And when your intention is clear and you remain a clear channel, as Dr. Ernest Holmes said, there are no obstructions to the operation of truth, then what happens is it just naturally flows through us to do and say the right thing to help as many children and parents and grandparents as we can.
How wonderful. So Santa, this year is so different and than any previous year, at least in my lifetime. What's your greatest hope for all the children this year?
What my greatest hope for the children, the parents, and the grandparents is to really acknowledge and accept that, hey, yes, this COVID thing is the way it is now. However, that's going to change. And how we change with it depends upon what we do now. So our job is to give less energy and attention to the fear. Our job is to be more socially responsible and respectful of each other. And our job is to bring back within us the joy and the happiness and look at ways that we could celebrate Christmas based on all the restrictions and limitations that are put upon us. Because you know, happiness is not contingent on condition. Happiness is contingent on the way we find that joy inside of ourselves to share with everybody. So Santa's done a lot of Zoom meetings with families and children this year, especially for children that can't go out because they have secondary or third causes that make them very susceptible to COVID. So it's about what can we do to make things happy the way they are, knowing that if we do that, when this disappears, everything else is just going to be better because we've been enriched, we've been empowered, we've been fulfilled, and we've received a lot of great prosperity from that.
Thank you so much, Santa, for being with us today. You bring such tremendous joy and hope to so many people, young and old, all around the world. Peace and blessings. And thank you, everyone, for joining me here today on this very special edition of the After Lunch Special. We'll be back again on Tuesday with another great guest, and I'll see you again in 2021. Peace and blessings. And Santa, can you join me with a ho, ho, ho?
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, one and all, and I'll see you in your dreams. Ho, 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 ho.
Merry Christmas.